proliferation of iPads, Blackberries, Netflix movies, Facebook pages, tweets. Yes, I'm tweeting. Now, all that stuff is driving record amounts of traffic to network carriers like AT&T and Verizon. And those carriers, in turn, are spending record amounts on networking gear to carry that data. Now, until this week, Ciena looked like a king among the gear slingers, but the company issued disappointing results Monday that spooked a 15% sell-off in the stock. A few hours ago, I sat down with Ciena CEO Gary Smith to find out what's really happening with Ciena. And I asked him how the Japanese earthquake affected the company.
As everybody's aware, the tragedy overnight that happened in Japan, I think it just proves how dependent we are on connectivity to help, resolve some of the situations there from an emergency response point of view and get connected to families. And we've got a lot of equipment out there with many of our major customers from around the world, and we've been working overnight to restore circuits. And I'm pleased to say that a lot of our equipment worked as planned, and we were able to get a lot of the circuits back up across the mesh. We have a very special switch that's basically...
And we were talking before, most of it's subsea?
Most of it is subsea. Some of it goes into the terrestrial network as well. And so when you have circuits break down there, we can actually switch to other circuits that are up. And so from an overall mesh point of view in Asia Pacific, we were able to respond to a lot of our customers and get traffic up and working very quickly across the subsea networks.
So one of the reasons we're doing this show is to talk about these big new drivers that are different than ever before in the history of technology, even in the last 10 years, where we've got things like mobile devices, we've got cloud computing, we've got social networks, we've got Netflix pushing so much data across the network. How has your business changed in the last 10 years to address these new drivers?
Well, a couple of things. One is just the amount of capacity required is, scaled exponentially, and also intelligence on the network. So it's not just about capacity, it's around intelligent capacity on the network.
On Tuesday, I think we had Finisar report, disappointing numbers. They said that earnings are going to go, or revenue is going to go down 8% quarter over quarter. What does that tell us about demand in the sector?
Well, I think first of all, you've got to see the optical in a much broader space than just one or two companies. It's a much more sophisticated industry than that. And also, the fact that we're a systems company, so we're really closer to what's going on with our customers. And, from that perspective, we see, healthy demand going forward.
So you don't see the same changes that Finisar is seeing?
No, I mean, from an end user demand point of view, we see, robust demand going forward. Our forecast, is for growth during the year. And we've just come off a very strong quarter where we grew about 4% quarter over quarter. So I'd say, there are differences between optical companies, and particularly on the component side. We are on the system side, so we're
Finisar on the component side.
Exactly.
You guys are Finisar-like stuff goes into your machines. Do you guys use Finisar equipment?
They are a vendor to us. They're not one of our larger. They're not in our top 5 vendors. I would also say that certain vendors have geographic exposure, and my understanding is that they were focused on China.
Well, talk to me about that, because Corning said some things about a slowdown in China. Finisar said the same. They suggested it was inventory related. What do you know about what's going on in China in terms of spending?
We're probably not the best barometer for that, to be honest. We have minimal exposure to China. It's less than 1% of our revenues.
So talk to me about am I right to look at the big 3 in optical as Huawei in China, Alcatel, Lucent, and you guys?
Yeah, I think globally it's us and Alcatel, and then clearly, Huawei in China. Those are the 3.
Talk to me about where that plays outside of China, where Huawei's obviously got a bigger footprint and some protection there as well. What's the competitive landscape like between Alcatel, Lucent, Huawei, and you guys outside of China?
Well, I think, one of the differences of Ciena versus both of those players is that we're a much more focused player. This is all we do. We're really focused on the optical space and the convergence of optics and Ethernet, where, both of those other companies are all things to all people. They're providing everything from, kind of handsets right the way through.
Right.
And, we're much more of a focused player, so we're focused on innovation. We have leading technology in each of the spaces that we're in, as opposed to just being a very broad-based supplier.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. Gary Smith of Ciena talking about all the things going on down there.